Hello and good day. I'm Aldrin Estanislao. I will be discussing about the President of the Philippines and their contributions, and then the next one is my reaction to the Corazon Aquino speech in U.S. Congress. So let's start with the first president. So the first president will be Emilio Aguinaldo. So sino nga ba siya? Emilio Aguinaldo was the first president of the Philippines, First Republic, also known as the Malolos Republic. So he was ano na term po siya nung January 23, 1899 sa Malolos, Bulacan. So he led the proclamation of the Philippine independence on June 12, 1898 and doon sa Kawit, Cavite. So kanyang mga contributions ay siya po ay na-featured po siya doon sa may 5 peso bill kung saan doon sa coin 5 peso coin natin. Andun po siya. So he led the country in the Spanish-Philippine War and the American-Philippine War. Then next is he led proclamation of the Philippine independence, known as the president of the revolutionary government. So next is signed the Pact of Biak na Bato, creating a truce between the Spanish and Philippine revolutionaries. So he was a well-known entrepreneur, soldier, and politician. So Emilio Aguinaldo had Bachelor of Arts at the Colegio de San Juan de Latran noong 1880. Then the next one pong president is our second president, which is Manuel L. Quezon. So yung term niya po ay November 15, 1935 hanggang August 1, 1944. So Manuel L. Quezon was the second president of the Philippines. So at siya ang first president ng Philippine Commonwealth established under the USA. So ito nga po yung panahon ng Amerikano dito sa ating bansa. So he was known as the ama ng wikang pambansa. Yun nga pa, he was the first president na nanalo sa national election, and then kinreate niya po ang National Council of Education, and he approved Filipino as the national language of the Philippines. So he studied Bachelor of Arts sa Colegio de San Juan de Letran, pati ang bachelor naman niya sa law ay doon naman sa University of Santo Tomas. Naka-feature naman po siya sa 20 peso bill. So kung makikita natin sa 20 peso bill, siya po yung nakalagay doon. Siya ang first Filipino featured on the cover of Time magazine noon. Jose P. Laurel, so he was, yung term niya po ay nung October 14, 1943 hanggang August 17, 1945 lamang. So he was the third president of the Philippines, and then he was the second president sa ating republic, Philippine Republic. So yun nga, nag-serve siya ng president noong Japanese occupation during World War II. So Jose P. Laurel is the only Philippine president who served the three branches of government. So he became a senator, congressman, and then associate justice, and then bago siya maging president. Yun nga, he organized the Kalibapi or Kapinsanan sa Paglilingkod sa Bagong Pilipinas, or Association for Service to the New Philippines, a provisional government during the Japanese occupation. So he was the founder of the Lyceum of the Philippines, and then he earned a doctorate in civil law from Yale University in 1920. The next president will be Sergio Osmeña noong August 1, 1944 hanggang May 28, 1946. So Sergio Osmeña was the fourth president and then the second president of the Commonwealth. So he was halal po siya noong August 1 nga po, 1944 doon sa Washington DC. So he succeeded the presidency after the death of the President Manuel L. Quezon. During his administration, the Philippines joined the International Monetary Fund. He was the founder of the Nacionalista Party, and then yung Philippine National Bank was rehabilitated, and the country joined the International Monetary Fund during his presidency. Then the US Congress approved the Bell Trade Act noong siya ang presidente. So he was the founder and editor of a Spanish newspaper, El Nuevo Dia, sa Cebu City. Na-achieve niya rin yung Bachelor of Arts doon sa Colegio de San Juan de Letran, at ang kanyang law naman sa University of Santo Tomas. So naka-featured naman siya sa 50 peso bill is Manuel A. Rojas. So nahalal po siya noong May 28, 1946, and then natapos po yung term niya noong April 15, 1948. He was the 5th president of the Philippines, and then the third and the last president under the Commonwealth. Siya po yung naging isa rin sa first president ng Third Republic of the Philippines. He held office for only 1 year, 10 months, and 18 days. So, reconstruction from war damage and life without foreign rule began during his presidency. So, pagkatapos na po ng World War II. So, Congress accepted the Philippine Rehabilitation Act and Philippine Trade Act laws under his term. Siya naman po yung naka-featured doon sa 100 peso bill natin. So, the next one will be Elpidio Aquino. So, nahalal po siya noong April 17, 1948 hanggang December 30, 1953. So, he was the 6th president of the Philippines, and then he was the 2nd president of the Third Republic of the Philippines. He created the Social Security Commission nung kanyang presidency, pati na ang Integrity Board to monitor graft and corruption. So, during his term, Quezon City became capital of the Philippines noong 1948. Pwede nyo naman ay na-complete niya po yung Bachelor of Law doon po sa University of the Philippines. So, next po is si Ramon Magsaysay. So, nag-start po yung term niya noong December 30, 1953 hanggang March 17, 1957 lamang po. So, he was the 7th president and then the 3rd president of the Third Republic of the Philippines. He died in an aircraft disaster while boarding the presidential plane. So, kaya po hanggang yun lang po yung term niya kasi nga po namatay nga po siya doon sa aircraft. So, during his presidency, he referred Philippine Golden Years for its lack of corruption. So, sa panahon niya, walang corruption. So, the Philippines was second in Asia's clean and well-governed countries noong kanyang presidency. So, in-establish niya rin po yung National Resettlement and Rehabilitation Administration or yung NARA. He made the Philippines a member of the Southeast Asia Treaty Organization. And then the next one is Carlos P. Garcia. So, nag-start po ang kanyang term noong March 8, 1957 hanggang December 30, 1961. Carlos P. Garcia is 8th president nga ng ating Philippines, and then he was the 4th president of the Third Republic. So, yun yan, naging president siya nung namatay po si Ramon Magsaysay noong plane crash. Doon sa plane crash noong 1957. So, Carlos P. Garcia was known for promoting Filipino First policy, which favored Filipino businesses over foreign investors. So, and then he established the austerity program focusing on Filipino trade and commerce. And then he became a famous poet and known as the Prince of Visayan Poets and the Bard of Bohol. So, yung cultural arts naman, na-revive niya po yun noong during his term. He was the first president na naka-buried dun sa libingan ng mga bayani. Then the next one, the 9th president, which is Diosdado Macapagal. Nagsimula po ang kanyang term noong December 30, 1961 hanggang December 30, 1965. So he was the 9th president. He was a lawyer and economist. So kanyang So, yung kanyang anak po ay si Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. So, yun nga po, naging presidente rin po si Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. So, yung contribution niya po is Diosdado Macapagal was a great economist. So, he established the first land reform law at pag-aalaw po ng pagbili sa mga private farmland to be distributed in inexpensive small lots to the landless. So he placed the Philippine peso on the free currency exchange market and encouraged export. The Philippine representative to the United Nations General Assembly three times. And then Diosdado Macapagal signed the law to create the Philippine Veterans Bank. And naka-featured po siya sa ating 200 peso bill. The next one is our 10th president, which is Ferdinand Marcos. So, Ferdinand Marcos, nag-start po ang kanyang presidency noong December 30, 1965 hanggang February 25, 1986. Siya rin po ang pinakamatagal na humawak sa ating republika ng ating Pilipinas. Most controversial leaders nung 20th century. And then he ruled nga po yung Philippines ng 21 years. And then na-remove nga lang po siya sa pagiging president dahil nga po sa People Power Revolution. So siya po yung the first president to win a second term. And then the longest ruling president of the Philippines. So he declared martial law nung kanyang kapanahunan. And then he increased the size of Philippine military and armed forces. By 1980, the Philippine GNP was 4 times greater than 1972. Nag-build nga po siya ng napakaraming mga infrastructures dito sa ating bansa. And then, he was the first president, at siya lang po ang presidente na who remains were interred inside a refrigerated crypt. So, the next one, Corazon Aquino. So, she was the 11th president of the Philippines. So, nahalal po siya noong February 25, 1986 hanggang June 30, 1992. So, siya po ang first woman president ng ating bansang Pilipinas. And siya rin po ang first woman na naging president sa buong Asian country. Siya po ay naging isang icon sa atin dahil nga po pinaglaban niya po yung demokrasya dito sa ating bansa. Kanyang mga achievements, so she initiated charitable and social activities helping the poor and the needy. And she was named as a Woman of the Year noong 1986 doon sa Time Magazine. So she was featured nga po sa bagong 500 peso bill together with her husband, Benigno Aquino Jr. He received honorary doctorates from international universities including Boston University, Eastern University in Pennsylvania, Fordham University sa New York, and then Waseda University sa Tokyo. The next one po is our 12th President of the Philippines, which is Fidel V. Ramos. Ni-restore niya po yung economic growth and stability ng ating country. So, President Fidel V. Ramos was widely credited as the most effective president because he led the Philippines to economic growth. And then he promoted the family planning practices to help solve the country's growing population. Then he presided over celebration of Philippine Independence Centennial in 1998. And then the Philippine Stock Exchange became an international favorite during his presidency. So dito rin nagkaroon ng death penalty, no, na balik ulit yung death penalty during his presidency. President Fidel V. Ramos has a 29 honorary doctorate degrees. The 13th President of the Philippines, Joseph Estrada, at nagumpisa po ang kanyang term noong June 30, 1998 hanggang June 20, 2001. So, yun nga, yung economic growth nung panahon niya ay mabagal talaga. And then, he faced impeachment proceedings. Siya nga po ay isang actor. So, yun nga po yung yung kanyang achievements is Mara Islamic Liberation Front headquarters and camps were captured during his presidency. cited as one of the three outstanding senators in 1989. And then he won every mayor election sa San Juan noong 1969 hanggang 1984. Erap was among the Magnificent 12 who voted to terminate that agreement that allows for U.S. control of Clark Air Base and Subic Naval Base. So he was credited with the passage of, among other pieces of legislation, the bills on irrigation project and the protection of carabaos. Yun nga, sa kapanahon nga po ni Joseph Estrada, nangyari po yung second People Power Revolution. And then, na-impeach nga po siya. Kanyang presidency, ang vice president po ay si Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, which is our 14th president and the second female president of the Philippines. So, ang kanyang nga pong ama ay si former president Diosdado Macapagal. Kanyang kapanahon ni Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, yung annual economic growth nga po ng Philippines ay nag-average ng 4.5% during her administration. And then, expanding every quarter of her presidency. So, yung the peso strengthened by nearly 20% in making it the best performing currency of the year in 2007. So, yun nga po, she supported to bring back Spanish language in the Philippines during her 9-year presidency. She obtained doctorate in economics from the University of the Philippines. And then numerous honorary degrees granted by prominent international universities. So the next one will be Benigno Aquino III at nagsimula po ang kanyang term noong June 30, 2010 hanggang June 30, 2016. So siya po ang 15th president ng ating bansa. Anak po siya ni former President Corazon Aquino. So he was called as Noynoy or Pinoy. And then Noynoy finished his economic degree doon sa Ateneo de Manila University. Yun nga po ang anyang mga pinatupad dito sa ating bansa ay yun nga, he created the No Wangwang or the Street Siren policy. And then Noynoy initiated shifting to K-12 education in the Philippines. And then next is the peace agreement with the Moro Islamic Liberation Front in October 2012 and oversaw 7.1% growth of the Philippine economy noong 2012. The next one po is our current president, which is Rodrigo Duterte. So, June 3rd, ang nakasimula po ang kanyang term ng kanyang presidency noong June 30, 2016 up to now at hanggang 2022 na lang po yung kanyang presidency, matatapos na po ang term niya. Nung unang term niya, so he was the most loved president dito sa ating bansa. So yun nga, he earned a massive fan base after transforming one of the most dangerous cities, which is the Davao, into one of the world's safest cities noong kanyang time na pagiging mayor sa Davao City. So, ang kanyang mga achievements, so he was earned political science degree sa Lyceum of the Philippines, and then obtain niya po yung law degree noon doon sa San Beda College, and he signed Freedom of Information Order. And then Duterte launched a 24-hour complaint hotline, and then yung pagre-rehabilitate niya po ng Boracay Island during his term dahil nga po napaka-polluted na po nung Boracay noon. And then he signed an order for smoking ban in public places, and then he launched the Build infrastructure program. And then yun nga po, isa rin po sa mga nasign niya pong law is yung train law and comprehensive tax reform program. And then he was one of the Forbes list of world's most powerful people in 2016. So Duterte has been featured on the cover of Time magazine. Is the Corazon Aquino speech. So dito naman po sa Corazon Aquino speech. So si Corazon Aquino po nung time niya, nung nahalal po siya bilang isang president. So she was gave speech to the United States of Congress noong September 9 September 1986. So she called on America to help our country to maintain our freedom. So yun nga, ah nandun po siya sa Amerika, nag-give nga po siya ng speech kung saan kinwento niya yung yung paglaban natin sa demokrasya para sa kalayaan natin dito sa ating bansa. So, and then inexpress niya po yung kanyang feelings, yung yung pag-express niya ng love sa kanyang husband, which is si Benigno Aquino Jr. Si Ninoy Aquino, kung saan namatay nga po si Ninoy Aquino nun, kung saan assassinated nga po siya. And then ayun, and then nag-give nga po siya ng speech kung saan yung kung ano yung dinanas na kahirapan ni Ninoy Aquino nun, katulad ng pagkulong kay Ninoy Aquino, yung pagtatapon sa kanya sa ibang bansa. So kinunto niya po yun hanggang sa makamit natin yung kalayaan at pinaglaban po natin ang demokrasya sa ating bansa. So ayun lang po, maraming pong salamat. Thank you for listening.